That creature was starting to make more sense now that he was thinking about it.
Has Master decided what Basim should do yet?
This creature had been babbling about wanting to work for him to help enhance one of his estate's areas. He just hadn't had any idea exactly what the creature had been talking about in the slightest at the time. Now, with that in mind, he can finally approach this in a more intelligent manner. So, beginning with, what sort of work would you do in the laboratory?
Although the estate laboratory is quite well stocked, sir, if you don't mind me saying, it could use a bit more improvement. Given some time, Basim could increase the capabilities of the forge therein.
So there was most certainly a laboratory, and it sounded like it was well stocked, and considering the Shadow Lich's power and accumulated knowledge, that could prove incredibly useful for Victor. I'm still not sure. What else can you do?
Basim has great experience, sir, and Basim so enjoys working. Always diligent and loyal, Basim is, sir. Basim can work in the estate laboratory, the spell research room, or the zoo.
Spell research room, assuming that is the library. What sort of work would you do in there?
In the spell research room, Basim could continue spellcrafting in the Hall of Mists, allowing Sir to access new faces.
Victor would pause a moment, trying to process what that could mean. In the plane of shadow, it was true, most of these creatures didn't actually have a specific form. The shapes that they took were instead optional, for lack of a better terminology. They shifted form as they needed or into the shape that they preferred. By saying faces, this creature, Basim, could be referring to the idea that there was some form of item or room here that could transform him? The ability to polymorph at will was certainly useful, but he wasn't sure how useful it would be in this realm. Unless perhaps he could shift into a shadow and blend in and not be attacked? It was hard to say. For now, he could think of other things that he would rather put the creature to work for. Polymorph was never something he had much interest in anyway. Instead, how about the zoo? What sort of work would you do in the zoo? And the idea that the Shadow Lich had a zoo makes him wary. When mages have quote-unquote zoos, it was never really a good thing. Generally, the animals were used as test subjects. And considering that the being was a lich, there could even be people in there. It might be one of the first places he needed to go, just in case.
Basim is qualified to tend to many separate species, sir. And if you don't mind me saying, the zoo is quite poorly tended currently. Once cleared of danger, however, Basim could both keep the zoo running safely by further taming the denizens therein and
Apparently I can't talk.
and procuring new species for you, sir.
So I suppose, yeah, Victor would take this as there are no humans in there. More likely, he was breeding and experimenting on species to create his own variations as servants. That would also fit the bill. He wasn't sure if that was a relief or the problem. What else can you do? Also, wait, hold on. What was that you said about danger in the estate zoo? My mind is very tired.
Basim is afraid, sir, that several of the dangerous zoo creatures have been loosed. Until the zoo is made safe, Basim cannot work there.
Fantastic. Perhaps he would have to go there then. Loose, mutated shadow creatures enraged at the previous owner doesn't exactly sound like an enjoyable experience. Although, since they appear to be locked in the zoo at the time, perhaps it would be fine? Too many questions and not enough answers, and he was too tired to deal with any of it. For now, I think I want you to work in the laboratory, Basim. uh, that's actually a pretty cute combination of things you could do if you just wanted to be useless. Uh, I want you to begin working at the laboratory right away.
Basim will start right away, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. Basim so enjoys hard labor.
Right. Well, though that's an option, first I think Victor would like to find out more about the library. It sounds like a much more logical place he could maybe sleep. Uh, there was no bedroom, but as... Oh, I don't know if you guys heard that. Apologies if you did. I'll probably cut it out. So, there was a bit of a car outside. He had lost his thought. He was so damn tired. Theoretically, it was idiotic to have assumed that, well, a lich would have a bedchamber. They don't sleep. And wizards tend to be very bad at sleeping anyway. He was certainly proof of that. This library is extremely well equipped. Skills involving research and item activation will be easier to perform here. Interesting. Oh, a skill increase. What to? Crafting? Ah, spellcraft is what was enhanced. Okay, that makes sense. I believe that's the skill used for skill used for that was sighing at the trap, pardon me. Skill used for wand and scroll creation using the game mechanics, which I will not be using because the system of the game itself is limited and it doesn't work the way it should, in my opinion. Fantastic. It was trapped. Well, there were only so many traps, and he was very tired. He didn't exactly have a way to do this the normal way, so it would just have to be this way. One of the spells, it appeared, had failed, as if the shadows themselves had sucked it out of the staff. Even Netherian magic, apparently, couldn't resist the laws of this plane. He would have to do some extensive study to find out exactly, painful, exactly which spells were not going to work in this realm. Well, if one was trapped, most likely all of it would be trapped. The Journal of the Lich. Yeah, there's one more. This journal appears to have once belonged to the Shadow Lich. It has several different sections, each with separate entries. Spellcraft. Use spellcraft to search for spells active on the tome. Yes. Victor's no idiot. Any wizard worth their salt would prepare traps for their research. This tome teems with magical power, and you find that several of the pages are protected with magical wards. You carefully mark the pages so you can easily avoid them. And of course, it's on the most interesting. Ugh. Alright, well, to begin, let's start at the first. Read the section entitled To the Would-Be Adventurer. Actually, the more I think about this, the more it seems unlikely. Victor, primarily, at the moment, wants to check for danger, make sure he has a safe location to rest and recover. While doing that, he will happily study things, but not until he's had a good night's sleep. Foraying through the journal when his mind is not at its peak and his body aches. And frankly, when he's still bleeding from several areas that the Medusa injured him with, it seems like a bad idea. For now, he's going to use his spells to absorb the traps. Rely on his amulet and potions and bandages to help deal with the injuries they cause. Get everything dealt with. And then, once he is satisfied this room is as secure as it can be, he will then take his time to rest. But for now, he wants to check the rest of the estate as well. He'll definitely return here, though. There's a very large, comfy chair that he can collapse onto. Changing figures dance behind the door. Spell research room. Ah, and that must be the portal. It seems mobile. That's interesting. Bound portal. This is a shadow portal, a planar rift within the shadow plane that can move you to nearby places on the plane. The more you use these portals, the more you accumulate your will to them, acclimate your will to them, allowing you to control their destination. Do you wish to use the portal to travel to a different area? No. Definitely not yet. Victor is not even close to prepared. Instead, he'll finish his little exploration. That looks like it would be the primary. What's this? Locked and trapped. Normally he'd let it be, but since he doesn't know what's on the other side and it could be a threat, he doesn't have much choice. Right, well, let's do this the old-fashioned way, shall we? Oh! Oh, no. Oh, magic missile doesn't appear to work in this plane of existence. Fantastic. How about flame arrow? A chance of it succeeding. Fantastic. Well, this is clearly a trap. And there's no enemies, there's no notable traps, but Victor's going to leave it alone. There might be something of worth in there, but he is not of his right mind to bother risking it. You don't just do that. There's probably all manner of magical issues, runes and other things. 12 Faces has the Lady of the Dark. As she walks nightly across her starry park, Hunter Wolf, Ghost Might, the Murderer, Prey, 6 more, both dark and light, Queen of the Night and Mistress of the Dark. In her black veils and clinking silver sark, 12 faces as she walks nightly across her starry park. Choose the face of Our Lady. The words apparently had been echoing off the walls, and he's going to choose no face for now, because he doesn't quite understand how it works. He'll leave it be for now, and explore further. Apparently it teleports you here. Right then, that must be the chamber used to polymorph you. No notable threats in that room. There was only the laboratory and zoo left. The zoo, which, notably, had the most likely danger. Workshop and laboratory. The lab is extremely well equipped. Skills involving crafting and magical item creation will be easier to perform here. A shadow forge. Well, that would most certainly catch Victor's eye. For those unaware, a shadow forge is one of several mystical forges that use planar energy to create incredibly powerful anything, really, accumulated and attached to that plane. Instead of, say, using a gemstone that is full of magical energy, and then turns that magical energy into a fuel or a charge, the forges are able to instead make a connection to that plane, and the plane's energy itself becomes the fuel. It's one of few ways that you can make an item that has infinite uses. And of course, the amount of energy you can pull varies on what you're trying to do. Usually it's only infinite. Truly use it as much as you want with no drawback at all if it's of the weakest caliber of spells. However, if it's one of the higher end spells, such as an incredibly powerful fireball, it would still be able to be used as much as you wish, but only with time for it to recharge and regain energy from the plane. So something like 1 use a day or 5 uses a day, something like that. There are other ways, of course, to manage an enchantment of that potency, but all of them are equally as rare and difficult. Usually it requires a mage of epic proportions, and though Victor is certainly getting high up there, he's nearly level 14, this would be the level 20 plus range area. All in all, that is an incredibly powerful forge, and gives him many, many options, especially since that's only one item in here. There are there's a lot in here, including a golem crafting station, it appears. Those are golem parts. Weapon racks, full of incredibly rare and high-end materials. That's adamantite. Adamantine, as it's pronounced in this universe. Elmwood, ironwood, mithril, light gems, and nothing lower than steel quality and everything else. Books, all lined with a variety of recipes. An alchemical and research table. An alchemical pot full of engravings, and a tome used to enchant them. A contraption he'd never even seen that was full of incredibly potent glowing runes. It looked vaguely similar to a golem soul infuser, which is essentially an incredibly potent machine that gives life to a golem using magic. It was also used in the theoretical construction of very similar constructs. He's befuddled. The Shadow Lich should not have been so easily defeated by him. Had he grown weak, desperate, arrogant? Victor's not certain, but with resources like this, he had no excuse to lose to him. Befuddled. Shadow Golem torso. Some gold. And a book on golems and other constructs that he'd have to read later. Stunned beyond belief. There's even an odd creature. A spherical creature about 4 feet in diameter with 3 long, powerful tentacles, tipped by razor-sharp hooks and a beaked mouth in the center of its body. 3 large, round, golden eyes surround the beak. The hide appears rubbery and thick. There was so much here that he could study and use for his research, let alone what he could create with the forge. His tired mind was racing. For now, however, he would need to put all that aside. There was too much here, and he needed to clear out the danger while he still had some level of energy. Except the door was locked, barred with power. Well, perhaps the Lich had sealed that off, knowing that the creatures had escaped. There was no guarantee that that would last forever, but if nothing else, it could mean that he had time to properly recover. In a course of throne. I suppose that the Lich was a lord, technically. Just out of curiosity. The weapons and such lining it, however, slipped through Victor's fingers as soon as he touched it. It would take some doing to create proper material, plane level weaponry and items, it appeared. For now, however, Victor just wanted to rest. Moving forward and heading toward a very specific, big, comfy-looking chair, Victor would intend to do just that. He needed time to recuperate and recover. But perhaps this wasn't the worst thing that could have happened to him. If nothing else, he'd get a full night's sleep, be able to recharge his items, and assuming that nothing went kicking down his door, this estate had many secrets he could use to improve himself. He still wasn't entirely sure he deserved that, considering all he had failed, but he was resolute. The moment he decided to stand back up, as the great city of Undertide had fallen, he had been determined. He would put it behind him and improve himself, so that he could help others. If he could turn this Lich's lair into something that was a positive outlook on the world again, he would do so without hesitation. But for now, he would rest. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos and don't want to miss out on future content, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. If you'd like to support me on a more personal level, offer recommendations, chat with me, or vote on future series, then consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Thank you once again for all your support, and I can't wait to see you in the next chapter of our story.